What's up, guys? Today we're going to be unboxing and checking out the Redmi 11 Pro Plus 5G. This one was sent out by Xiaomi. I did not know they were sending it out. They just randomly sent it out. I don't know. Maybe they watched the video because I was talking about bringing like more Xiaomi phones on the channel, and yeah, so that's pretty cool. So thank you guys for that. Let's go ahead and unbox this, guys. So this phone is a mid-ranger. It's like around 350 bucks. I'll have the link on Amazon here. And we haven't checked out a Redmi phone since the Redmi Note 10 Pro, which in my opinion was one of the most beautiful phones at that time. Just really, I still think it looks great, and we'll compare that one with this one. But as you can see, this one has a 120 watt Xiaomi hypercharged. What? 108 megapixel, 120 hertz Full HD AMOLED, the MediaTek 920. I'm not sure the processor in here. I wonder if it's like gonna be like the beefed up processor equivalent to the Poco X3 Pro. It might not be, but we'll find out. We'll see how it does with gaming and stuff like that. All right, and oh yeah, so every time I unbox phones, I forget that mid-rangers, they always put stuff in the mid-range box, which is hilarious because you don't get anything in the flagship box. This is backwards. If they throw in the 120 watt charger in here, I'm gonna be shocked, like, because it feels like the box is heavy. So here's a gel skin case. All right, not bad. That's always nice. Let's see if they actually threw 100. Oh my god. There's 100. Get it out. Jeez. This thing is massive. Wow. Oh man. 120 watts. Wow. So how can you get 120? How do you get 120 watts with a dang on $300, $50 phone? $350 phone. But you spend $1,200 and you get nothing. I mean, you get a nice thick cable. It's so backwards. I wonder if they ship the. I wonder if Xiaomi ships the flagships with the 120 watts. All right, so let's go over the device real quick, and I'll come back and set everything up. It feels like a plastic phone on the sides. This is glass. Definitely, it's matte. And it has a really clean look to it. It's not picking up fingerprints either, really clean. I personally think Xiaomi has one of the more futuristic camera designs here. As you can see, it just looks really, really ahead of its time to me. So I think in the future, you'll probably see more cameras that have this really like robot looking look to it. Power button, volume rockers, no headphone jack it looks like on here. Oh, nope, it's here. Headphone jack up top. And you do have the IR blaster, and this looks like a top speaker. So the speaker's up here. So, okay, so yeah. Alright, I'm pretty excited to check this phone out. This looks really interesting. The speakers are probably crazy loud on here then. Because it's not coming from the, it might not be coming from the grill. Since this looks like a dedicated speaker. Alright, so let me boot everything up. We'll go ahead, run through the phone here, and we'll run through all the specs and stuff. Alright guys, we're all set up here, and let's go ahead and talk about the screen. It's a really nice looking display on here. So this is a 6.67 inch Super AMOLED 120 hertz display. It is 1080p 395 for the PPI. It has Gorilla Glass 5 on here, and it is HDR10, and then it is 700 nits peak brightness. So I went outside and took some photos, and it did a really good job in direct sunlight. I was able to see my phone no problem here. So like all little mid-rangers, yes, of course there's gonna be like a little bit bezel down below, but honestly, you know, for a mid-ranger, that's to be expected. You have your punch hole up top, and the display is really nice, really vibrant display. You get some really nice colors, very deep blacks. I just have zero issues with this display, and I'm glad that it is also 120 hertz. And when you're looking at YouTube videos, not Amazon, but Netflix, 1080p HDR, so you get a really nice viewing experience. So it doesn't matter what you're looking at in the phone. It is quite big, so you know, if you do have smaller hands, this is definitely like one of those phones you kind of have to two-hand a little bit. But overall, as far as the display, it's absolutely fine. And I always get this question about Xiaomi phones and light leakage, and I've never had that issue personally with my, Xiaomi phones that I've owned. But yeah, so this display on here is definitely a solid display here. It looks really, really nice. Now, I do want to touch on MIUI 12 on this phone. Everything runs pretty smoothly for the most part. It came with MIUI 12.5.2, so this should be getting Android 12 very soon here. But the question is, does this thing have a ton of bloatware on it? And while this has the least amount that I've seen on a Xiaomi phone, like I said, it's been a minute since I bought another Xiaomi phone, but yes, you do have a few applications on here, and some of the applications are stuff that I would download anyway, like Netflix and stuff like that. But then some of these like random games like Tile Fun and just a bunch of kind of like a few random games. But other than that, it's not a huge amount of stuff, but yes, it is still on there. For the most part, I really like that they now have Google Now on the left hand side. It's extremely useful. I use it all the time to catch up with news and stuff like that. And as far as our toggles here, we do have our screenshot, let's see, screen recorder, scanner, battery saver, NFC, Dolby Atmos is a new one, at least for me. And then this phone does have NFC, so you're going to have your, remote, I guess not NFC, but you're going to have your infrared port on here as well too. We want to talk about these specs a little bit more here. So we do have the MediaTek 920 5G processor, and then we also have the Mali G68 GPU. Now my Call of Duty settings, not super high, so you can see where you can play on high, very high, but as far as like max FPS, it's kind of locking me at low. So it looks like this isn't going to be as good of a gamer as something like the Poco X3 Pro still. That's still going to be like the go-to gaming device. It's still one of my top gaming devices, honestly, for the price that it's at now. This one, obviously, it has, more things that are better about it, but it's not going to be able to max out gaming. Now, casually gaming on here is perfectly fine. Like, I don't have an issue with gaming on this device at all. If you're just a casual gamer, it's fine. It's just that you won't be able to max games out and stuff like that. I will drop a gaming test because we'll see how this performs with PUBG and stuff like that. But so far, just for casual gaming, it does work very well. So I don't actually have an issue with performance on this phone at all, actually. And if we go ahead and check out the Geekbench scores here, you can see these are the results that we are getting here, and you can kind of compare the scores to, so it compares really well to like the Poco X3 Pro and stuff like that. You can see the multi-core scores as well too. So it does a good job in the benchmarks, but I'm assuming it must be the GPU if it can't be able to max stuff out like that. But yeah, so as far as performance wise, bouncing in and out of applications, the phone is extremely fast. It has not missed a beat at all. It's very, very, very fast when it comes to just bouncing in and out of applications. Now this phone also has 128 gigs of internal storage, and then you have 8 gigs of RAM on this model, and you also have SD card support, which is really nice. Eventually I feel like they're going to start taking that out of mid-range phones, so it's really nice that we're still getting it in 2022, but I have a feeling because some mid-range phones are losing the headphone jack. This one does have the headphone jack, so I feel like eventually they'll start taking it out. But for right now, this has a lot of features going for it. Like I said, it's IP53 dust and splash proof as well, so it's not completely waterproof, but it is dust and splash proof, which means that you can get it kind of wet in the rain and it won't break or anything like that. I do want to go ahead and talk about these stereo speakers because they're pretty sweet. I really like the way they did the speakers on here. So I'm at max volume. What it looks like is you have two dedicated speakers here. So usually you'll have one speaker at the bottom and then they'll have like a speaker grill right here, like a little small grill. But this one gives you a super full sound. So not only are the speakers pretty loud, but it also gives you a really full sound, and it's just like, even if you block this one out, you know, it just sounds awesome. And this one doesn't lay completely flat on the table, by the way, too. Now, if we go ahead and turn Dolby Atmos off, see what it sounds like. Oh yeah, Dolby Atmos makes a huge difference. Sounds way louder and better. Yeah, so the speakers on there are absolutely fantastic. Now, this phone does have a pretty nice camera setup. It's a 108 megapixel lens, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, and then 4K video at 30 frames with a 16 megapixel selfie cam that shoots at 1080p 60. So I went to take some shots, and I was pretty impressed with the images that this phone was able to push out, especially if you go ahead and set it to the 108 megapixel mode. You get some really detailed shots on this phone. A lot of detail with this phone, and I thought the colors came out pretty nice, pretty realistic colors actually. It was just a really nice experience. I think the only thing that I kind of was like meh was the macro camera. It just does not do that good of a job with the detail, and I wasn't able to get up as close as I really like to. And like I said, the 2 megapixel macro camera, it needs to be at least 5 megapixels, but the macro camera was just kind of okay. The ultra wide was really nice. It was really close to the main lens as far as the color and detail. And yeah, so the selfie cam came out really good too. I had no complaints about that as well. So overall, I was pretty impressed with, you know, image quality. My first impressions, my portrait shots came out pretty clean on here as well, and low light was actually pretty respectable on here too. So I will go ahead and let you guys see the video for yourselves. You can check that out. Alright guys, here's some indoor video. That's pretty decent. Alright, so this phone does have pretty good battery ratings from what I've seen online. It's a 4,500 milliamp battery, but what I'm really more curious about is this 120 watt charging here on here. So I've seen videos where if you go from 0 to 100 in like under 30 minutes, which is pretty crazy to actually drain your phone from, you know, 0%, it'd be charged up in under 30 minutes to 100% is crazy. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that test for you guys because I really want to see myself. I've never actually seen a phone charge up that fast. Yeah, so battery life on here has really good ratings. You could easily get all day battery life on this phone. Now this phone is missing wireless charging as well too, so do note that. And again, that is to be expected on, you know, a mid-range device here. So overall, my first impressions, I'm really impressed with this phone. I'm super impressed that they threw a 120 watt charger in there. I'm really curious about that. I really like the build quality of this phone. Like I said, glass back. It feels super premium, looks premium. No one will ever suspect that this phone costs $300 something dollars, $350. It could pass as like a flagship phone, honestly. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know. Be making some follow-up videos on this phone, and I will catch you guys in the next one.